Good morning. This is Kaiser Johnson with Liberty and Finance and Miles Franklin Precious Metals. Welcome to Ask the Brokers Live. Glad to have you here, and we'll be taking questions on sort of any aspect of the precious metals markets and what it's looking like on the ground. We have lots of experts on the channel all the time as far as looking at speculation and global markets and that kind of thing. And Great to see what they have to say and listen to them. You know, Day to day, my day to day is working with clients and looking at what trading is looking like day to day. And so that's those are places where I can be particularly helpful if you have questions about what is it looking like in the retail market right now. Uh what should you be doing as far as um swapping gold for silver, silver for gold, and IRAs. What I've got questions about those, or how do you calculate junk silver? So please feel free to drop your questions here. If you have any difficulty dropping it, make sure that you're subscribed and have the notifications turned on so that you can be able to jump in the chat as well. So good morning to everybody, and we'll start off by just talking about some of the things that we've been seeing recently. One thing Dunnigan was mentioning to me, and that I've been running into as well, is people asking, where should I be swapping? When should I swap gold to silver or silver to gold? Um, for most of the last few years, we've seen silver and gold sitting at a ratio of about 80 ounces of silver to 1 ounce of gold. Sometimes we've gone a few months ago, we were at over 110 or something, 102 ounces of silver for 1 ounce of gold, just looking at the spot price. And a lot of folks look at that and go, okay, so that was a great time to swap from gold into silver. Now we've seen this big run up on the price of silver in the last month and a half here, 2 months. And so one thing that a lot of folks are looking at doing is going, okay, now when should I move from silver back into gold? And when should I take advantage of that? A lot of times what we look at is, what are the historic ratios? So over the last, like I said, 5 or 6 years, we've seen, well, I guess 5 years since since COVID, we've seen the gold to silver sitting around 80 to 1 all the way up to 100 to 1. And one thing that a lot of folks are looking for is for silver to reestablish its historic ratio with gold, which over the last 100 years, it's averaged somewhere in the neighborhood of 40 ounces of silver to 1 ounce of gold. Over the last 5,000 years, we've seen a lot of times it's closer to 15 to 1. And that has happened before in our lifetimes, 15 or 20 to 1. And so either of those places tend to be good benchmarks to swap the other direction. When if silver gets back to something in the neighborhood of 40 to 1, that's a great time to start moving some silver into gold. Still good to have silver. I think silver is something that's always going to be part of what I have, both from like a prepping standpoint, and also just as a flexibility standpoint and a speculative standpoint. Those are three really good reasons, I think, to continue to maintain silver in your portfolio, no matter where it's at. Right now, it's just dipped under $66 this morning, which is is wild. We're now 20% above silver's all-time high, which we didn't hit for 40 years, since the mid 1980s. And gold's at let's see, 43.62 approximately. So I think we were in the mid 60s for the ratio here before. So 43.62 divided by 60, we'll call it 65, 75. Yeah, it's about 66 to 1 right now. And so I know one place where I'll be doing some swaps, moving some silver into gold, is if and when silver goes back to a 40 to 1 ratio. And certainly if we saw it go to a 15 to 1 ratio, that would be a great time to move more into there. And that's something, another reason to hold silver, not swap it all at 40 to 1, is I want the option, if the ratio even improves further than that, to swap some more and get more gold out of the deal. So that's a big question we've been seeing a lot from clients as we see this big run up in silver, and gold obviously moving as well, but just not quite as fast. In the last 2 months, gold's relative to the U.S. dollar has gone from hovering around 4,000 to hovering around 4,300 or so. So you're looking at a 8 to 9% increase in the last couple of months relative to the U.S. dollar, and silver, has in the last couple of months has gone up, well over 20% relative to the U.S. dollar. So, and I mean, even more than that if you start to factor in a couple more months. So, yeah, that's where we're at on there. Yeah, Long John Silver says 66.20 on silver, and Chad Wolf says 65.80. 66.2 is the ratio you're mentioning, Long John Silver, and Chad Wolf's quoting the spot price there. It looks like so. Nicole says, I'm a small physical silver stacker. I just started and sitting at about 26 ounces. Am I on a good track or wasting my time with such a small amount? Uh, I don't think you're wasting your time. I think whatever you can have get into silver is good to do. The while this is where we've seen a big increase in, again, relative to the US dollar, in terms of the price of silver over the last few months here. I don't think any of the experts that we have on the channel think that that's, oh, it's, that's the end of it, and it's going to hit 66, 67 maybe, and then it's going to, drop back to 30, 20. you know I think the what we look at, what Andy and I talked about on Monday during this week's market update. Andy Shackman, CEO of Miles Franklin Precious Metals, for whom myself and Dunnigan and Elijah are brokers. Andy talked about think two really big important things, maybe three, on this one topic. We talked about many more things than that were also important, but on this one topic of where silver's at. One big thing is Andy pointed out that silver, with how much we need it in technology and in industrial capacities, because as you may know, silver as an industrial metal, is electrical conductivity is measured on a scale from 0 to silver, where silver is the most conductive metal that we know of in the world, and so it's used in all kinds of technology. And for a lot of it, you don't need tons of silver, but you need it and you got to have it. And so it's what Andy was talking about as what's called a Giffen good, which is this. It's a type of good where even as prices go up. So a lot of times when prices go up on anything, and especially like luxury items and that kind of thing, you'll see then they'll go up and then they'll drop back down because demand will go down, and then the supply increases, and so then the prices drop back down. But with Giffen goods, the demand doesn't decrease no matter where the price goes, and because it's something that is a necessity, and it's something that in fact, as prices increase on everything, if they're increasing not as quickly on an item that is at a lower price, like silver relative to other conductive metals and that kind of thing, the the demand will still increase as the price increases because people need more of that lower priced good, and they can't afford the higher priced ones, and so demand increases even as prices increase, and sometimes as a result of that. So that's one thing with silver, is that that we continue to need it, and we're needing it in ever as a for technology and industrial purposes on an ever increasing basis. And then the other thing that's really interesting that I think probably has the largest to do with this factor to do with this big increase in spot price that we've seen in the last couple of months here, is that it's being reported that JP Morgan has gone from an extensive short position on silver that they've carried now for decades to being long on silver. They've sold off all their short positions in terms of futures, and they have also begun to acquire um, uh, millions of ounces of silver. And so that I think is a big thing, because we tend to see that while premiums that we as retail dealers and stuff charge, those are a direct reflection of the demand for a particular physical product, silver eagles or junk silver or that kind of thing. Um, the spot price tends to be reflective of what major institutional traders are doing, and so I think it's undeniable that one of the big factors in this increase in spot price is if it's that what's being reported here, that JP Morgan is now in a long position instead of the short position they've carried for many years here. So it's allowed silver to move up, and it's worth noting that if the world's largest bank is moving into a long position on silver, even as silver continues to the spot price continues to increase, it's worth taking note of that as a retail investor and as someone who is looking where to put your money. And so, um, yeah, silver's in the last year has doubled as far as cost in U.S. dollars, but that's it's not too late to get into it. You don't need to, wait another 40 years or something like that. It's still a good place to start wherever you can start. And I think that's another important thing to remember is, uh, you don't have to be able to buy millions of dollars in silver to make it worthwhile to have some silver. So that's something that we've looked at as myself as a family is, you know, just keep at it. Studies have been done on dollar cost averaging, whereas like even if you can't afford a lot of something, you just keep putting money in there on a regular basis, and rather than trying to time it to where okay, there's a dip in the market, I've got to get it here and now and that kind of thing. Just plug away at it, keep dollar cost averaging, and you end up then seeing all the appreciation that someone who is waiting for to buy dips uh, doesn't get to have. So uh, yeah, that's a long answer to that question, but hopefully that was helpful. Yeah, Chad mentions $100 silver first quarter 2026. Yeah, we've been seeing a lot of people talk about that's a real possibility with even if you just look at the technical factors of it, and don't even look at a lot of the other factors going into it, but just looking at it from a technical perspective rather than a uh, institutional perspective. So let's see, what else do we have. Any truth to $70 call options happening on December 19th? um, I don't know. That's a good question. That's maybe a good one for Andy for our market update. So feel free to drop that in the comments of our market update with Andy, so that we can address that this coming Monday. Um, where are the four nines fine silver rounds? So the best way, if you want a round or a coin that's four nines fine silver, Mary, the best thing to do is get a kangaroo or a maple. Um, I'm sure there are four nines fine silver rounds. We tend to see the Royal Canadian Mint and the Perth Mint are the only mints that regularly make four nines fine silver, and almost all of their products are four nines fine. We do see, there are some bars and that kind of thing coming out of CNT and some other mints that where they'll occasionally make four nines fine runs. But the best way to do it is to get maples or kangaroos. Kangaroos especially tend to be not priced that much higher than silver rounds. Right now, we've got a special on Canadian maples, 575 over spot, and you can get those four nines fine Canadian maples, which are as Andy points out, RCM, the Royal Canadian Mint, is one of the most respected, if not the most respected mint in the world, as far as the quality that they put into what they do and the security features that they put in to prevent counterfeiting and that kind of thing. So the if you want 4 nines fine coins, you're hard pressed to find something better than the silver maple, and the silver kangaroo is an option too. It's a little bit more of a a budget option because there's not as high of a premium on those ordinarily, but it's still 4 nines fine silver. So those are worth looking at. Uh, and yeah, 40 ounces to freedom. Just saying to Nicole, hey, you're on a good track. They started attacking 5 years ago, and it's amazing how far you can get with concerted effort. If you're looking at just putting uh, y- putting whatever what savings and investment money that you have away, uh, and like it's I'm not a financial advisor. I can't give financial advice, but I look at uh, my family. We tend to put as much as we can, any cash that we don't need immediately liquid, put that into silver, because over the last couple of years here, if you look at our silver holdings have gone up 60% relative to the US dollar, whereas and obviously inflation eats up a lot of that, but it eats up a lot more of the stuff that I've been having sit in a money market account at 4% interest, which is based on where we're currently at on real cost of living. Inflation is a greatly reduced uh, ability, purchasing power. So uh, it's again, when you're in silver or gold or other commodities, you don't necessarily know what sort of appreciation you're going to get. And really, when you when you look at it, it's not so much appreciation as it is devaluing of the US dollar relative to tangible assets. But it has certainly proven in the last few years to be way, 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 way better than just sitting it in the bank where inflation is just eating away at the value of it. So, yeah, yeah, 40 ounces to freedom says we're moving into a world of real assets. I think that's really true, and very clear based on the way that again, even even banks like JP Morgan Chase are moving into going, we need to start stockpiling real assets, gold and silver. So let's see here. Slow and steady wins the race. Yeah. Um, Started buying at 29 this year, 10 ounces so far, now 66. Yeah. How soon till 100? Right. Uh, let's see. Uh, Not even looking at price right now, as it seems there's not enough of it above ground, and government mandated production will need it at any cost. And that's yeah, and I think that's true. Again, that's an example of the gift and good of going whatever the cost is, doesn't matter. We're gonna buy it, and we're gonna get it. And you see right now there are reports, actually reports back in October, and a little bit uh, people mentioning a lot this week that Samsung is reopening a Mexican silver mine, and it'll be one of the first just silver mines for the purpose of silver mining that we've seen in a long time, because for decades now the the amount of work and labor that it takes to get silver out of the ground is not worth the price that miners have been able to get for it. And so it's tended to be that we see that the only places that silver is being mined are where it's at a gold mine or at a copper mine, and there's silver there as well, and they mine it out of there. And so Samsung is appears to be making a big move into going, look, we need more silver here. And so and we know that we're going to continue to need more, so it's worth doing the investment in there. And now with the spot price of silver doubling in the last year and a half here, it's certainly worth looking at, and again seeing what big players are doing. And so uh, yeah, uh, let's see. Been stacking 15 years. Look at the price for the fun of it. Bought at 14, continue to buy at 100. Completely confident in the long term. Yeah, I think that's true. It's something where silver's got, if you look at it from a perspective of how we need it and what we do with it, and the various sectors of demand on silver, I think it's hard to overstate the potential of for silver, and where it could go as far as spot price goes, and that kind of thing. And because there's no sign that we'll need any less of it, no matter how high the price goes. So, um, silver-backed dollar, wouldn't that be easier than revaluing gold? Says uh, poor. I don't know how to say it. So might be we were on our dollars were silver certificates until 1970, when Nixon took them off of there, and then we got the petrodollar a couple of years after that, and now we see that Saudi Arabia and is starting to make deals with other BRICS nations, and not rely on the petrodollar anymore. And so it's something where we see that these some of these the other BRICS nations are moving to while they're not having a gold backed dollar or that kind of thing, they're certainly uh, they're you can swap it for I think right now it's 40% gold, and then 60% of whatever member currency there is, and that kind of thing. So uh, we may be re-entering a time of true tangible asset backed currency, or one at least that is exchangeable for that, again, like with the silver certificates and so forth. So worth keeping an eye on for sure. Let's see, Dunnigan just sent me another question he's been seeing recently, and um, yeah, long-term strategy, Elijah mentions, if they're holding metals and never going to sell, pass on to the next generation or barter. The best product may be different from those looking to profit from a rising price. And that's certainly true, that there are different things that are can be better for speculative purposes. One of the reasons that, for instance, that I have been purchasing and swapping into junk silver is, but the price is kind of unbeatable on it. You can get uh, around spot. I mean, within a few cents of spot, or on some products, some junk silver products, you can even get under spot on those. Last week our special was 40% junk silver, half dollars at $1.85 under spot. So it's something where you can amass a lot of ounces for way under market price. And we see that in times where there's high physical demand for physical products, like in 2023, when we saw all those bank closures, we saw people rushing in to purchase silver eagles and junk silver. And we saw huge spikes in the premiums on those, where eagles went from $6 over spot to $16 over spot in the space of a week, and junk silver went from $1.85 over spot to $12 over spot in the space of a week. And so it's when there's a high demand for retail product, junk silver and silver eagles are a place that people tend to rush into. And so it's something where, if you're holding a lot of junk silver, it can be that can be a good opportunity when there's that high demand to then swap back into uh, a different product and get more ounces out of it. So that's a junk silver can be a good way to speculate when the premiums go way up. So do buyback premiums, and then you can do a swap into a different silver product and get more silver. Uh, but looking at, that there will be, I think in an ideal world, at least here in the U.S., I would just have all eagles, gold eagles and silver eagles. Although I have now, we've recently swapped a bunch of our gold, including eagles, into numismatics, because there too the there was this odd anomalous shift where the premiums on numismatics dropped to below the premiums on eagles, and so it was something where it was a really good opportunity to do that, because long term I don't mind having these historic and antique coins that are graded and have collectible value as well as just the intrinsic value. So, you know, for me, probably in silver, I would just look at, silver eagles, and in gold, I would look at numismatics if I was just going to be, holding for future generations and that kind of thing. There's still some moving around and playing with the investments that I want to do. So that particular breakdown may shift for me. That, again, that's one of the reasons I've got a lot in junk silver right now, is to poise myself to move up in ounces and at a later date when the premiums swing back and move closer, or even where when junk silver outpaces other types of bullion and so forth. So yeah, depending on what you're looking to do with your silver and gold, and or platinum and palladium for that matter, it's worth having a conversation with your broker, myself or Dunnigan or Elijah, about what's going to be the best fit for the moves that you'd like to make, or the non-moves that you would like not to make. So, yeah, those are multiple options there. Uh, Thank you, Virtual Cockpit 5001. We appreciate you and appreciate you being here and asking questions and watching and yeah, just we appreciate all of our viewers who take the time to listen and learn from our guests and all of that. So thank you very much. And let's see another question. Uh, Yeah, what's the best product to be in to benefit from silver price increases? Sorry, this is again from Dunnigan, mentioning that this is something that we've been seeing. So yeah, it's difficult to know necessarily what's the best product to benefit from silver price increase. Um, the future is unknowable. We don't know what premium differences will be in the future. A lot of times people will go, well, should I buy eagles or just generic bullion? Which one will be a better buyback premium later on? And that's impossible to know. We can say in the past what has happened is when there's been high demand for physical product, we see eagles and junk silver increase the fastest in premiums. But on any given day, it's hard to say, whether the dollar extra that you paid for an eagle or $5 extra that you paid for an eagle over a maple or a philharmonic or something like that would immediately uh, be, you know, play out in a buyback premium. That's impossible to say, but because we don't know, and a lot of times clients don't know the timeline that they're looking at. They go, "Oh, I think I'll sell to do this thing, in the future, or maybe if I go to buy a house, I'll sell some silver off or whatever." But so it tends to be that we can look at and go, here's the general rules from what we've seen in the past as far as what things are most affected by premium increases, both on the buy and sell side, and what things are minimally affected on the buy sell side by premium increases. Uh, but we can't say, hey, if in 6 months you plan to buy a house and you want to sell off some silver to do that, what product is going to have the exactly most advantageous spot to premium buyback ratio of any of them? Uh, that's tricky to know, and I mean it's impossible to know, but it's worth looking at, and again looking at the past and then looking at how you want to allocate your funds right now. So um, let's see. Right. So yeah, and yeah, Dunnigan mentions that uh, w- junk silver is a really great example of that, where in the last couple of years we've seen normal premiums on it where it trades a little bit above the cost of bullion, and then we've seen wildly high premiums where it's trading at we're buying it at $9 over spot per ounce and we're selling it at $13 over spot per ounce, and then now we're seeing it, we're getting it at or below spot and we're selling it at or below spot. So or within a dollar of, so trading lower than bullion, which is, again, that's kind of an anomalous thing where ordinarily junk silver trades above bullion. Right now, it's trading below the cost of bullion. So, yeah, interesting point that we're at right now. Let's see. Libertads have lower mintages and better resale value as compared to ASC. That can be true. They certainly have lower mintages. That is definitely true. And so certainly on the purchase price, we see these big premiums. Where even when if you can get Libertad, I would say if you can get Libertads at, so the Libertad is a Mexican coin. It's their 1 ounce coin, and they also have fractional versions of it and like larger than 1 ounce versions of it. And But all of them are very limited mintages, and they will only sell certain amounts to different countries. And so they're the they're trickier to get, and whether they always hold a proportionate, uh, larger increase on the buyback than they do on the sale. That's tough to say. Sometimes we'll see like this year's Liberty. We've seen at low points in the market that everything kind of goes down to, and we're paying that on a 1 ounce Libertad or a 1 ounce Eagle. Maybe we're paying $1 more to buy back a Libertad than an Eagle. Like this happened last year when in 2025. Sorry, earlier this year, I guess. And we were paying maybe $1 more to buy back Libertads, but likely the people who had purchased them probably paid $5 more than an Eagle to get them. So if you can get them at a reasonable price, if you can get them around the same cost as an Eagle, I'd say that's certainly a good option. Uh, because yeah, they will likely trade at least at or a little bit above an Eagle there. But so if you can get them at the price of an Eagle or roughly there, I think that's certainly a good move. The silver Mexican Libertad. But yeah, um, junk silver and Eagles for the win. That's what I say. Gather gold, stack silver, be your own bank. Well, I'm going to wrap it up here. It looks like I don't see any other last minute questions. So thank you again for being here. We'll look to do this. Let's see. Next week is Christmas. 1 week from today is Christmas, so I won't be on here doing an Ask Brokers live on Christmas. But we look forward to seeing your questions and getting to chat more with you again in the very near future. So again, thank you all so much for being here. If you want to contact us about anything, you want to get started or continue your stacking journey and that kind of thing, in the description you can find our number, which is 888-815-4237. That's 888-81-LIBERTY, or our email address, libertyandfinance@protonmail.com. So you can contact us there. We're happy to help you with any questions that you might have. All right. Thanks again so much for being here, and we will look forward to seeing you soon.